Welcome to Mishna study Masachet Terumot Perek Yod Mishna Aleph. Over here in this Perek, we're going to discuss a lot of the foundations, the principles of what we call noten ta'am. Something gives off flavor, right? So we know when it comes to like meat and milk, for example, right? There's something called batil b'shishim, 1 in 60, or benoten ta'am if it gives off a flavor. So a lot of these principles are actually derived from this Perek, and we'll see how it relates to terumah. So, batzal shnetano letoch adashim. If you had an onion that you placed it into adashim, lentils. Now, im shalem mutar, right? If the onion was whole, then it's mutar because it's not giving off flavor to the lentils, something specific to lentils. And if you cut it up, if you sliced up the onion, then you have to see if it gave off flavor to the lentils themselves. The rest of the dish, right? Let's say you made a jedra, so you had rice and lentils. So the rice themselves, ben shalem ben muhtach benoten ta'am. It doesn't matter if the onion was whole or cut, right? Even if it's whole, we have to assume that it may have given off a flavor, and we need to check if it gave off a flavor. Now, Harambam explains over here that when we're talking about the onion giving off flavor to the lentils, right, and the lentils being different than the rest of the dish that's being discussed over here, it's specific when it wasn't cooked together, right? Of course, if it was cooked together, there's no question that we need to see if the onion gave off flavor to the lentils, right, and if the lentils gave off flavor to the onion. Right? It works both ways. But obviously, it's going to give off flavor when something is cooked together. Over here, we're discussing if they were both cooked separately, right? And afterwards, you went ahead and you mixed them together in one bowl. What's the status, right? So let's say the onion was terumah. Now you want to know if it gave off flavor to the lentils. So there's something to those lentils where it doesn't absorb the flavor of the onion so quickly, right, or at all, if the onion was whole, right? Because lentils themselves, right, after they're cooked and they're the moisture, the liquid leaves them, right, then they shrivel up and they don't let the onion really give flavor to it if it's a whole onion that was placed in the bowl with it, right? Again, we're not talking about when it's cooked together. They were just mixed together afterwards. So lentils specifically won't draw the flavor from a whole onion. But if the onion was cut up, then that onion is strong enough to give flavor. And if that onion was terumah, then those lentils have the status of terumah, right? And vice versa too, right? Let's say the lentils were terumah, right? And the onion was was regular chulin. Well, then we need to check the onion to see if the lentils gave flavor to the onion as well, right? And it's the same idea, right? If it's a whole onion, we say it doesn't give off flavor. If it was a cut onion, right, then we say the lentils may have given off flavor, and you need to check. How do we check? We taste it, right? You give it to someone to taste. He tastes it. He sees if the onion has any flavors of lentils to it. If it does, right, then only a kohen is allowed to eat it. And vice versa too. Let's say the lentils were the terumah, or the onion was the terumah, and it gave off flavor to the lentils. Then you have to taste the lentils to see if it has any flavor of the onion. If it is, then again, only the kohen, right, is allowed to eat it. Now, what about the rest of the tafshil? Well, let's say the rest of everything that was mixed in, with that was like rice over there, right? Over there, that's always going to have to be checked if it gave off flavor to the rice or not, right? There's no such thing as saying, oh, if it's a whole onion, it's not going to give off flavor, right? So to sum up, there's something unique to lentils, right? Once they were cooked and they were mixed with a whole onion, they won't necessarily draw flavor from the onion or give flavor to the onion. Once the onion is cut up, then we need to check if it gave off flavor to the lentils or if the lentils gave off flavor to it. Now, Rabbi Yehuda comes and says, if you have something in general, right, it was getting old. It was getting, tzahana, from a pasuk in Yoel, right? It speaks about ta'al tzahanato. It's talking about the tzifoni over there, which the Mefarshim explained as being the arbe, right? The locust in the earlier perek. It speaks about this plague of locusts coming, and Hashem will drive them away, and then they will be like turned into some type of stench, right? As Hashem, when Hashem saves Am Yisrael, right? So over here, what is it? Tal tzahanato is talking about a stench, something that's rotten, right? So if you had something, like say an onion that was, placed in this, rotten food, so over here, the Yehuda is going to say that's allowed. We don't say that the onion gave flavor to that, rotting food. Rather, it's only removing some of the foul flavor. It's not adding the flavor, it's just removing some of the foul flavor. That's what he says. It's only coming to remove some of that other flavor. And therefore, we don't check it benoten ta'am. We don't see if it actually gave flavor. We say that it would be okay. Halacha though is not like Rabbi Yehuda, and even in something that's on the turn, right, or it's old, we don't say that the onion gave. We would say that the onion gave flavor, and you need to check if it's benoten ta'am, right? So we see over here, if something gives flavor, right, then it takes on that status. Right, over here specifically, we're talking about terumah in our scenario. So if that flavor of terumah was passed over, then the whole dish, that whole item, takes upon the status of terumah.